Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 29th of March, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at currencies, then we'll look at stock markets, commodities, and last of all, some US tech stock. And we start by looking at the dollar, and the dollar made a really big rise yesterday, just leapt above the cloud. So we're now back into bullish territory on the short-term chart. The interesting thing is, will we now have the strength to recover and stay bullish on the medium-term chart? Last year we spent quite a few months below the cloud, and at the moment the key thing is, will prices rise to find support, and will we go through a similar phase as we did at the beginning of last year? This actually occurred at the start of the year, so we're a bit later than that. The key thing is, do we have the strength just to keep rising and get back above the cloud? Chances are it will be quite a struggle. The dollar will hit some resistance in the medium term, but the short term chart, there's no doubt, is now bullish again. The long term chart, we're seeing upside targets, so that's really good news as well. So the dollar is now bullish short term. There's no new short term targets yet, so we need to wait for those to kick in. But we have still activated this downside target, and there's a shortage of upside targets in the medium term chart. So a very hard read at the moment. If we look at the euro, we've inevitably gone below the cloud. The reverse is true of the dollar index chart, and we're seeing now that we're coming back into the cloud. And again, if the euro falls heavily, this would then be seen as just a temporary breach. So the interesting thing is that the euro is now looking bearish in the short term. No clear downside targets here, but of course the medium-term chart in terms of targets is still pretty bearish. Japanese yen, we've seen the dollar cross here as well, so the yen weakening, and sterling falling away quite heavily below the cloud as well. So that will be key. No upside targets here activated on sterling, so it'll be interesting to watch that. And then if we look at the sterling euro rate, that's fallen quite heavily yesterday, and the sterling Swiss and the Australian dollar sterling chart we're seeing also. So these targets back in train. We've got targets as low as 130. That one's not activated yet. 144 on the medium term chart. So pretty worrying targets there against the Australian dollar. Stock markets recovered quite strongly as well. We hit straight into resistance on the short-term chart. Prices stopped right on the cloud, but the medium-term and long-term charts looking pretty good. And the same with the Nasdaq. We actually got back above the cloud there. And on the Dow Jones, we're just hitting some resistance in the short term as well. And the Russell 2000 not quite getting through with a lagging line. Looking at the futures markets, they're up slightly this morning, so we might see the US open higher and taking us back into positive territory for this week. FTSE 100 up quite strongly this morning. We are still below the cloud there, and the FTSE 250 much the same. The DAX index rising above the cloud, and the Nikkei 225 much the same thing we're seeing here, rising above the cloud. So we still short term have to get through, and we need to break out of this sideways range, but that range is still there, and that's now really a 5-month range, so quite a thing for the Nikkei to break in the medium term. Hang Seng still above the cloud. Shanghai Composite was down just 0.39%, so was just held the cloud, but not as strong overnight. And looking at the Sensex, we're still just in the cloud, but still bullish there too. The Australian market really leapt, and there are a few markets that have as many short-term upside targets as this one. The Australian market, really unbelievable. So many upside targets, and here comes the leap. And that really is what we should expect when you see that many targets to the upside. Crude oil has crossed the cloud as well, so we're seeing a recovery going on here. Will this be enough for this to be considered support? Prices are really through here, and we do have this target of 48.20 still hanging over us. Brent crude really did set the tone with this downside target to 37.37. We are rising at the moment. We've got an upside target back to 50.06. If we make that target, then that would be bullish confirmation. I suspect we might find that there's strong resistance at $50, and WTI will struggle to get back above that. US Nat gas holding on above the cloud at $3.10 at the moment, so that's looking quite good short term. We've activated another new target, 324. We've got 311 and 344. Taking a look at gold, we go straight to the gold price. Really finding resistance here. This February high that we saw at around 1258, 1263, that's acting as resistance at the moment. So gold is just struggling there, but we are still bullish, medium, long, and term and short term. We've got a new upside target to 1285, another one to 1293. This would be activated with a move above 1258, 59, let's say. So that's quite key. Just seeing a new high would give us new highs in gold. And silver, much the same. We have an upside target to with 3.8% at 1879. US government bonds just hanging at this 1241 level, but like the dollar, we've crossed into bullish territory overnight. Apple, bullish above the cloud. Google still below the cloud in the short term. Amazon has recovered to bullish on all three time frames. Facebook making new highs, closing at a new record high. So Facebook looking very strong indeed with all these multiple targets. Microsoft, the same thing, starting to break to new highs. It'll be interesting to see Microsoft break out of this range. And Nvidia recovery still underway, but hasn't broken to new highs there. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.